Okay, Dave, you are good to go.
Hey.
We are live everywhere.
What do you know?
Live.
Michael, these yours?
Yes, they are.
Okay, good. Okay.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Team Powerhouse Show, live with you every Tuesday night. We are now streaming on many new and improved and exciting platforms, by the way, guys. Tonight is a very special show. It's all about crypto. It's the intro to crypto. If you know zero about crypto, you're in the right place. If you know a little about crypto, you're in the right place. And if you know a lot about crypto, you're in the right place, and you can also share. Please let us know what you're thinking, thoughts and feelings, any kind of questions you have. Love to interject with you. We have a very smart person in the middle over here. Interact.
Thank you.
Interact with us. Interact. We
What's in
have
that
Michael
can?
Cristoforo in the middle over here, our special guest. You may know him as our mortgage broker, but he's also very knowledgeable in crypto
guru.
technologies, digital assets. Eric Vasquez on your far right, David Lamel here, and Michael Cristoforo. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're his Sherpa, right?
Huh?
You're his Sherpa? You're his crypto Sherpa?
Yeah, apparently,
Yeah,
yes.
the Sherpas that
Yes,
bring you
I
up
know
to
what a
the-
Sherpa
okay.
is, yes.
I would say
Yeah, taking him to the mountain.
he's more. Before we begin, something we have to share with you, very important
A
information.
lot of people die on the way up.
You need to make sure you have undivided attention here. Everybody hears this right here. Okay, right? This is very important.
Okay, go ahead, Dave. Read your disclaimer.
This information we are sharing with you today is not financial advice. Do your research. With that being said, the reason for this podcast is to help you to have a chance to say to yourself one day that I heard it here first about crypto and how to have a chance to potentially change your life. Many of us in the world have no idea about crypto and digital assets. Only 5% of the entire world is involved in crypto, which is absolutely wild. But most people we talk to, either it's too much for them to understand and handle, and they automatically poo-poo it, or they're intrigued because they met somebody one day that helped them kind of learn a little about it and learn about it.
Mhm.
And that's how I got involved. Is that fair to say that?
Sure.
Mike over here, is that okay to share with them a little story?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Mike over here introduced me about 2 years ago into what crypto was. And Mike and Eric and myself actually together, we were together. And slowly learning about what it's about is much easier than all of a sudden someone kind of shoving something in your face, and it's overwhelming. The vocabulary, the words involved you've never heard before, what things are. People feel that crypto is something that is a facade. It's not real. It's no value in it. It's like buying, something that is not going to be a good investment or the future. Well, the world is changing. And not only is it changing, but the world around us in the country we live in is letting us know that things are going to change. And it's very important for you to be in front of it and not behind it. You have a chance now in your life to be in the front of opportunity. And if you take a little opportunity when things are available, your life could be in a much better place. 15 years ago.
I'm going to chime in with I worked on Wall Street when I got out of the Marine Corps.
Yes.
And obviously I didn't invest in some of the things that I probably could have or should have. But had I known what Apple was going to do, what Microsoft was going to do, I mean, I bought Microsoft, so I did have some Microsoft. I bought my daughter, Nicole, I bought her some shares of Disney at $19 a share. And I think it was trading at like 120, 125 last I saw. So, but it's a long-term investment.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, this could be seen as that kind of thing where you're getting in on the ground floor on a lot of these stocks that you never would have gotten in on before.
That's exactly.
And you can do it with a minor investment and just write it out and see what happens. But it's got to be, you didn't read this in the disclaimer, but this is what people told me when I worked on Wall Street. They were like, only invest what you're willing to lose.
100%.
Okay?
Do not put all your eggs in one basket, but you definitely want to have a basket.
Eggs are expensive now, so I can,
And come down in price, actually.
it could be more than Bitcoin. But the way they were slaughtering chickens, come on.
Yeah.
But the point is, Eric, you just made a good point, is that it's the chance for you to, like you said, you got involved in the stock market. If you would have known about, Apple and all these kind of things, and someone said Google, Amazon,
Yep.
all these things in
Amazon,
advance, right? you could be a gazillionaire today if people would have let you know about certain things. When crypto first came out, what year did it come out, Mike?
Well, Bitcoin was 2009.
Right? So it had someone, and there was was it pennies?
I got to tell you a funny story. I was talking to a client the other day, and he had a business, and he spent a couple of days going and playing games with a gentleman down the street. Guy was a little awkward, but he was a computer geek. He offered him 1,000 Bitcoin for $700, and he turned it down.
What year was this? Roughly?
This was, I would say that this would probably be
Before
when my
2010.
kids were young. So, I mean, yeah, it was probably maybe 2012, 2013, whatever. But he was offered, 1,000 for $700. Today, that would be like $80 million on just that one little thing of $700 at the time.
The point of this is it's a chance for you to really digest information here and have a chance to be ahead, and opportunity for you, your family, your kids' families, generations to come, because it's going to happen. And now it's going to happen. It's just a matter of the moments in time when it does happen. Over the next few years, things are changing. It's evolving. It's being talked about all over the news. The president and administration, like him or not, we're not getting into that. He's very involved in the idea of crypto and making this an important asset to not only the United States, but especially the United States and the world. Mike, let's talk about in Eric. In the 80s,
Yeah.
we had VHS tapes, right? And then we had CDs. Remember when CDs came out? Like, it was like, oh my God, a CD. And I was telling Mike earlier that I remember getting my first CD to watch a movie on, and I was so scared of
You mean
Blockbuster.
a DVD?
DVD player, my apologies, DVD, right? That I had to rewind the VHS tapes. I was trying to hit the rewind button on the DVD, and someone laughed at me and goes, you can't rewind a DVD. I'm like, what do you mean? I didn't even understand how, it's just a disc and it
What were
reads
you,
you.
6?
I
It looks like a record.
I would like to say, yeah, but I didn't, I just was so concerned about not rewinding it.
It's a change. It's a mindset. It's a change. You were used to rewinding for the VHS tapes, and you didn't have to for the DVDs.
Yeah.
It was a change. It was just like we're talking about here. Change.
And thinking about like the bag phone, which was in the mid to late 80s.
I had one. A bag cell phone.
Oh, the car phone.
1989.
The
It
mobile
wasn't
phone.
even,
It was a mobile
yeah, it was a
phone.
bag.
Yeah.
Yep. Had
And
one
then,
in
yeah,
89.
Full handle and everything.
I remember my
Yep,
father
yeah,
having
yep.
one. He screwed it into his car, and I thought it was the cool. I think it was like $1 a minute or $1.50 a minute to make some
Yeah,
calls.
they were
It was
pricey.
crazy. And then what else happened? We have talking about the World Wide Web. Who thought the World Wide Web was going to be something that it was going to be real and happen? Everybody said, no way. Not going to happen. Whoever thought shopping on the web for clothes and shoes and everything under the sun.
Back then, absolutely.
It's the future is happening. And if you knew things before that you can get involved in and invest in and to learn about, at least learn about it. Take the steps of learning about it before you invest in
And I just want to add one thing real quick. One of the reasons why I embraced crypto the way I embrace it and digital assets is because of the fact that I'm old enough now at 56 to recognize all the opportunities that I lost. Because when I graduated college, the internet was 2 years old, and I was reaching out to my stockbroker saying, how do I buy it? He didn't tell me buy picks and shovels of what actually creates the internet.
Right.
He didn't tell me that's why. He's like, it's decentralized. There's nothing there. You can't buy it. So I didn't know enough back then to even know how to, digest it. Same thing with Verizon phone. I had a Verizon since '89. Did I own one stock that was related to the cells?
I had Verizon.
You did. Okay, so I didn't. So this is my opportunity that, seeing what's happening with the next technology and wanting to be part of it. I don't want to be part of it.
In that same regard, though, there are hits and misses though,
100%.
because
Absolutely.
there was Nokia,
Yep.
there was all different Ericsson phones.
Yep.
So Ericsson had a stock,
Yep.
and it just really it's what the most popular phone was.
the
you know?
walkie-talkie phone.
The Motorola flip phone,
Yeah.
the VTech, VTAC
Yeah.
was like the stuff
Right.
for like 6 months.
Then you had what was it? What was that when they called it? The buttons you flip open. They called
Yeah,
it
you
the
just push it open.
Crackberry. Crackberry.
Yeah.
No,
That was
BlackBerry.
BlackBerry. Right? They
BlackBerry.
called it the Crackberry, whatever.
Yeah.
That was like the hottest thing that came out. So the generations of phones that you just mentioned is a great point.
Right, but my point
changed.
with the crypto is there are various cryptos,
100%.
so many of them,
100%.
and how many of
Thousands.
them, and how many are meme coins?
I can't tell you how many are meme coins,
But-
but there's way too many, and none of those are anything that I want anything to deal with.
Correct, and that's where for these folks you want to let them
Yeah.
know that there are something specific as a meme coin, and that's not something that you really want to tie too much money up in.
Absolutely.
You'd call it blue chip type of a stock or blue chip crypto type products.
Yeah.
Something that had to do with how things. What would you say are? Well, let's just talk about, for example, let's go back into Bitcoin. The creation of Bitcoin was in 2009. Okay, the granddaddy. I don't know if we're gonna the granddaddy of crypto, Satoshi Nakamoto.
Japan.
Okay.
Nobody knows what he looks like or anything.
Well, there's actually a picture, but I'm not sure if that's a real picture or if he was involved in it. And
Nobody knows.
And
Nobody
he's,
knows what
and,
he looks
and he's not taking necessarily credit for it either. I think that's another questionable thing. But the point is that you have something called Bitcoin that came out that you could have got for nothing. And since then, white paper.
Yeah, it's got a store of value. I mean, that's the big thing with Bitcoin is it's almost like having digital gold. I think a lot of people
That's a great analogy.
gravitate towards it because they can buy something and they believe that the long term doesn't mean that, hey, I didn't look to see what price is today, but let's say it's 83,000 or whatever. It could be higher, it can be lower, but long term, they're thinking it's going to be much higher than where it is today because of its limited quantity of it. You know, it only has 21 million total in the world that can ever be created.
Only 21 million?
Only 21 million when compared to some of the
But
others.
the whole world, not the whole world can own Bitcoin. Right? I mean, the whole world can't own Bitcoin for 21 million.
No, but you can't just. That's actually a good point. You don't need to buy a whole Bitcoin. Everybody thinks, okay, it's 83,000. I can't afford it. But remember, a Satoshi is only 1/1,000,000th, so you can literally buy 1/1,000,000th of a Bitcoin. Is how it works. Just to let you know, so you can fractionalize all that stuff.
So if you want to take 10, 20, 30, $40 towards Bitcoin, you can do that
Yes.
in pieces and
I don't
pieces.
think I don't think you were able to do that when it was stocks. Like you couldn't.
No, and that's and that's a great
When you bought a
segue.
share,
That's a good
you bought
point.
one share. If it was $100 a share, you
Yeah.
bought one share.
Yeah,
That was it.
That's right. You still can't buy, I don't think, a portion of a share, can you? Or maybe you can. I don't know.
I don't remember. It's been a while since I.
I don't
Since I've
think
been
so, but
involved
that's
in it.
one of the features of when the stock market becomes tokenized. You're going to see the abilities of being able to tokenize all the stocks as well.
If anybody out there has any questions on any of these platforms, we're on Kick, we're on Rumble, we're on TikTok, we're on Facebook, Instagram. We are on YouTube. We are live in so many locations all over the world right now. So a lot of people are going to be watching this, and maybe later on have questions who didn't think about the questions now. You can reach out, put the questions in, we'll get back to you.
Maybe Yoshi's going to.
And it's possible, right? Talk about Bitcoin, and we had an analogy we talked about earlier. Why do people think Bitcoin represents all crypto, Mike?
Because it's the first one.
Right?
And I was talking to my mother a couple of weeks ago, and she was talking about a friend of hers that has Bitcoin, and she doesn't really understand the difference. She just thinks, they're all digital assets. They
Right.
think they're one and the same. There's
She
just-
was saying Bitcoin, but it wasn't Bitcoin.
no, in her situation, it was actually
Okay.
Bitcoin, but she doesn't know the difference between that and ADA or XRP or any of the other ones. So
You have the name of Kleenex tissues, right? Every time you see a tissue, give me a Kleenex. That's the first thing you say.
Right.
You don't get me the Charmin or get me the whatever other brand it is, Cottonelle, tissues. Make me a Xerox copy. Are all copy machines Xerox?
No.
But everybody knows the Xerox copy machine because it was the first
More
one,
like Post-its.
right?
Yeah.
So that's the same kind of. So that's what crypto and Bitcoin and the whole thing. people
Right.
assume that Bitcoin is the standard across the board for what crypto is.
All
But
thumbs
there's
are fingers, but not all thumbs. Like that.
that's a good one. That was a good one, Eric. Those are the greatest things to say, man. Michael, how many Bitcoin have been created? We just talked about before.
There are 21 total, but it's been 19 and change that's been created so far. 19 and something million.
So where's the other?
There still have to be created. It's just the algorithm of how they actually can create.
My next question: how is a Bitcoin created? How is Bitcoin created?
It's through a Bitcoin mining centers. They have centers all around the world that are creating these Bitcoins, and bits and pieces of them are created to make one. You can only make we did the calculation. I think it was 450 a day worldwide that can be created at this point in
Thinking
time. I think
something
it's
like that.
450.
We're gonna put it out to you guys so you can check that out. How many Bitcoin can you make a day? Google that.
Yeah.
ChatGPT. By the way, ChatGPT is an unbelievable thing to use. ChatGPT.
You don't use Grok?
I'm not even sure what that is. Is that another one? I'm not Grok.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
It's Elon's.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start looking into that also.
Yeah.
So there are many key features of crypto and Bitcoin specifically that people know about. There's a fixed supply, right? But let's get into something that, well, before I get into that, let's just go into some terminology. So today we know cryptocurrency. I wrote some stuff down for you guys over here to hear me say this nice and clearly. Today we know that cryptocurrency is the future, with our new administration wanting, meeting, and believing in the future of cryptocurrency. The regulations and the changes, you're either going to be in front or behind, as I mentioned before. What are crypto digital assets?
Digital asset is really the same thing as a cryptocurrency. So they're interchangeable. I personally like the terminology of a digital asset more than a cryptocurrency because I could see down the road when banks are custodying our digital assets, they're going to be wanting us to give them their digital assets, to give them, and they're going to be able to pay us interest rates on that. And I don't see them calling it a cryptocurrency. I see them calling it a digital asset personally.
I have a question.
Sure.
Investment companies like BlackRock and stuff, do they own crypto?
They do. They do own crypto, and they're also in the process of bringing a lot of exchange traded funds for further. They're trying to get
EFTs,
approval.
if you ever have EFT.
The exchange traded fund. So,
ETFs.
so I think right now there's
ETFs,
one.
yeah.
There's one. It's a XRP is one of them. There's I think it's 16 or 17 applications, and BlackRock hasn't come forward with their one yet. But that's the big boy that they're waiting for. But
Right.
they already have the applications in place to turn around to make these acceptable on the stock market through these ETFs. And so it's not out yet with BlackRock, but BlackRock has said one thing and done another. That's been sort of going on. They've been, you don't want anything to do with it, is what they were saying a couple of years ago. Now they're embracing the crypto, where a few years ago they were telling everybody not to embrace crypto.
And maybe
So
while they're not saying not to embrace it, they were embracing it.
very possibly
They were collecting in on
absolutely.
it, right? Because they want to collect as much as possible.
Yeah.
And now they're comfortable talking about it.
Yeah, well, it's still cheap.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, you talk in your book, isn't that what they say? You talk your book, you talk the stuff down. That's what they've been doing for years.
Mhm.
They purpose to keep the values lower so that they can buy more.
Cryptocurrency is a digital or virtual currency that uses cryptography for security, operates on a decentralized system. Michael.
Yeah, Dave and I were talking about this yesterday and today, and I said, Dave,
Great analogy here.
the analogy is let's pretend I have a business, Dave has a business, and we're each keeping our own ledger. My question is okay, I filled out my own ledger, Dave filled out his own
Your
ledger.
books.
It's the books. It's what you bought, what you sold, whatever. And I said to Dave, here's my ledger. I said, do you trust my ledger? And Dave says, no, I wouldn't trust your ledger. And I said, yeah, and I don't trust your ledger either. The thing that makes cryptocurrency so great is that it uses a decentralized ledger. So we're both going into one ledger that's actually
Equal.
equal.
Same.
It's trustless, is what it is. It's trustless. So he doesn't have to trust me, and I don't have to depend on him because we're using a blockchain that's allowing us to have full record across all boards.
Which comes to the next thing over here. What is a blockchain? A blockchain, transactions are recorded on a public distributed ledger called a blockchain, which is a chain of blocks containing transaction data, which means it can't be changed because it is exactly what it is and everybody sees and knows what it is.
And they call that immutable. Is the phrase that they use all the time when you. So if you hear immutable, it just means that it's not changeable. So when something goes onto a blockchain, it's there forever. I also want to add, government the last couple of years, some people have been saying, oh, Bitcoin is for crooks and criminals. That is, as far as I'm concerned, that is the farthest thing from reality because it's on the blockchain. If there's anything that happens, it's recorded. They can find it. So they can find out that my wallet gave you Bitcoin with some research. It's all on the blockchain. So we can see who buys, who sells.
All traceable.
It's all traceable. So cash is the way if you were doing something illegal. It's certainly not doing a blockchain.
The old school way was keeping the cash in the house, right? Keep that cash in the house in case you need a little money, in case the bank shuts down, you got your cash, right?
On your mattress.
On your mattress, exactly right. In the safe in the
In the
wall.
wine cellar.
It's a wine cellar. In the safe in the wall behind the picture that nobody knew about and I forgot the combination.
With your Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card.
Yeah. One of the next cryptos I want to talk about, which is one that is very important to learn about based on our thought process. Again, do your research. Is XRP, also known as Ripple.
It's not also known as Ripple.
Ripple
is a company that
sorry.
uses XRP.
See, I'm learning and saying this incorrectly and being correct. So Ripple is XRP. XRP is Ripple?
No. Ripple uses XRP. So Ripple is a company that actually sells their technology to banks and national countries and so forth to set up to use their XRP and their distributed ledger, basically.
Now, I want to get into a little bit about XRP. I know we got about 30 minutes for a show, and things fly by quickly when we run the show here today.
Oof.
And it's important to make sure that you at least get some bits and pieces today. And again, if you have any questions out there, anybody does or not, love to answer them for you. But if we don't have them now, we'll get them later, etc. So what exactly is XRP? Could you explain what the process of XRP is, how it works, and why is it so important?
Well, why is XRP different from some of the others, basically?
Yeah, I think the best way to answer that is not necessarily how it runs, but it's the fact of what's happening in the financial system that's changing. So currently, right now, we're moving money through the SWIFT system. Okay, SWIFT, you can do a little bit of Google research and see what is SWIFT. And there's a thing called Nostro Vostro accounts for banks. So it basically means ours and yours. And so these banks have to put up all this money, trillions of dollars, certainly hundreds of billions of dollars, if not trillions of dollars. The banks have had to buy in other currencies. So that's why you can't go to any bank to, let's say, move money from Connecticut to South Africa. You can't just go to any bank and do it because they don't have the Nostro Vostro funds to be able to move that money easily. So you have to use somebody big like a Chase or a Bank of America or somebody that has those assets in both countries to be able to move the money. With XRP and what's happening in this global adoption that's happening that people need to do a little bit of research on is that there's a new protocol that's coming out. It's called ISO 20022 is the protocol, and the protocol is all banks and financial institutions need to be using it by this fall, October, November, whatever. They all need to be on. They've been in the process of merging and doing this for the last couple of years. It needs to be done by this fall. When that happens, you're going to see the banks have a ton of liquidity that's all going to be freed up because they're not going to need to necessarily keep all this money to run this money from one country to another. All that money will be freed up so they can actually settle a transaction in 3 to 5 seconds with ISO tokens like an XRP or an XDC and various things. I think personally it's going to be an XDC, personally because they've already got relationships with banks around the world. Japan right now is in the process of fully embracing XRP as their token of choice for moving money across their banking system. So there's a lot of changes coming that are in the process of happening. And there's something like 180, 190 non-disclosure agreements right now that Ripple has not even released yet. So there's a lot of banks that are already in place that until the regulations are in place, these banks are not, Ripple's already agreed to keep them private and quiet, and they don't have to tell who their clients even are.
While he was, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, so basically the way it sounds to me, what you're talking about is like how U.S. currency is used around the world. That XRP is potentially going to be the U.S. currency that is used around the world.
It's the
Jackpot.
Okay.
Jackpot.
It must have been impressive because you couldn't get the word out.
I could not get. Well, that's not unusual.
And
Yeah.
The other day, I was going to buy a car. And in the process of buying a car, I go and get a certified bank check. Well, now that I have a new bank that's going to be holding the loan, I went to the new bank because I got the better rate there. And I went to that bank and said, okay, listen, I'm going to bring from my bank, TD Bank, to Connects, a certified bank check, I told them. And they said to me, well, that's going to take 6 to 9 days to clear.
Yep.
6 to 9 days to clear. When they're involved with the XRP ledger and Ripple, that will take
seconds.
3 to 5 seconds.
3 to 5 seconds to clear that money, and for pennies.
Pennies, yeah.
That's just one transaction. Millions of transactions happening every day from bank to bank, person to person. And the amount of money they were talking about on savings is like trillions of dollars
For these banks.
that banks will save just using XRP as their way of moving money around, which is so important why you need to do your research on what XRP is, the value it brings to the world in trade and financial institutions, and what it's all about. And you were talking about something else just now about the banks, and again, with XRP being the fact that they're going to be using bank to bank to bank. I mean, it's 3 to 5 seconds across the world. You mentioned the other day about even shipping, and
it's called bills of lading, and apparently all shipping regulations basically come out of England. Pretty much, that's just the way it's been probably for hundreds of years. So they passed a law last year where all bills of lading need to be digitally sent. So you're basically all of it's all going to have to be on a blockchain. And there are certain cryptocurrencies like XDC that is their specialty. So
you actually heard 3 different cryptos, digital assets talked about today. One was XRP, one is XDC,
Bitcoin.
and Bitcoin. There's one more to talk about, just briefly, is HBAR. Is that correct?
Yep.
What is HBAR? Pronounced and spelled HBAR. So there's XDC, letter XDC, letter XRP,
And HBAR.
HBAR.
Yep.
What is HBAR?
Sometimes first of all, the HBAR has got a phenomenal technology that can move tremendous amount of transactions per second. They're called TPS. Tremendous amount, much more so than many others. So they in and of themselves, that is something because of their transactions. They are working with some of the biggest financial institutions that are out there, which is one of the reasons why, like, I think IBM is working with them. I think maybe maybe Apple's working with them. Microsoft is a lot. Their board of directors. You do your research on it.
Board of directors, you're probably to that thing.
Yeah.
The U.S. banking. There was a woman that used to work for the U.S. Treasury. Can you help me out with that?
Rosie Rios.
Rosie Rios, who worked for the U.S. Treasury of the United States.
What are they called when they sign the dollar bill? What are they called? I always get confused. When somebody's signing, that's the treasurer of the United States. Who is that exactly? Do you know?
The point of this, while Eric's thinking, Rosie Rios now has a job where?
Ripple.
At Ripple. The woman who was in charge of the U.S. dollar
The treasury, and
The
she was on
treasury.
every dollar bill. You
was on
got to
every
find an
dollar-
older dollar bill now because
was on
They
every
replaced it.
dollar bill. This is very important to understand and to know and do your research. Is now working with Ripple. Which is
it the Treasury
XRP.
Secretary? or-
yeah, that's it. Treasury secretary. That's what she is.
Okay? So understand that there's a lot of things happening that you've never heard before in the background. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And then not only who you know, it's just what do they know and how much information is coming out. You have a chance to be ahead of information instead of behind information. I wish I could have known. I wish I knew. I wish someone told me.
Rosie
Rosie
Rios.
Rios?
This is a newer one.
Doesn't have her name on the thing because
Bottom right hand corner it says Secretary of Treasury.
Yep.
Janet Yellen.
That does. Yeah, okay, there
Yeah.
you go.
So this was produced in the last 4 years.
Yeah, well, I mean, because they replace the dollar bills all the time. But I mean, you can take a look if you find an older one. Look at your wallet. You'll find an older one that has Rosie Rios on it.
So we need to make sure, again, this is not financial advice. Do your research. Learn about opportunity, because if you do, your life could be in a much better place in the future because you heard it maybe first here, maybe you heard it somewhere else, or maybe you heard it somewhere else, but now this is the first time it kind of made a little bit of sense. Mike and I plan on doing a little bit more podcasts. Maybe Eric will join us on
Maybe.
crypto. We're going to do it a couple times a week. We're going to be doing some.
Mike says he hasn't
Yeah.
signed anything.
I haven't
saying
signed
that yet.
nothing.
We're
on
going to
that.
be doing a couple times a week, hopefully, to talk about what's going on, to update with some information that's happening, to help you learn. And again, the biggest thing for us is if we can be a resource of happy place for you and your families, for you and your life. It's that feeling of knowing that you were able to help somebody else.
I used it with you yesterday when we started doing the prep on this thing. And I told you about it yesterday, and you loved it. Buying crypto is often not. I shouldn't say oftentimes because you have to buy the select ones, but we're buying almost to the point where we're winning the lottery in slow motion.
Bingo, bango.
Which is what I like. Like if you buy something, that cost you, $2 or 50 cents or whatever, and it ends up going to $20, you won the lottery. And you certainly could be a lot more than that down the road.
There are people on YouTube you can follow. Can I mention those names of people?
Yeah.
There are people on YouTube that are very knowledgeable. A lot of people. One is actually a guy in Connecticut. His name is Mickle. Great, smart, well-spoken, easy to understand. Very, very huge following. Help me out with another one over here. We have
Jake Cleaver.
Jake Claver.
CL, how do you say it?
Jake Claver. Very,
Nice.
very knowledgeable. Do your research. Who is Jake Claver? Claver. You have Crypto Sensei, another super knowledgeable person. You need to know and learn and educate. Do the research. You're listening on the phone, on your bathroom breaks, you're in the car ride, throw YouTube on, listen to what's going on here. Do a little Google research. Do a little Chat GBT. Do the one from, help me out, from Grok. Check out Grok. Do your research, because if you begin now to learn and invest a little bit here and there, again, don't take your life savings necessarily, but start getting involved and learn about the opportunities for you and your future and your family and your life and everything else. Good stuff.
That's great.
This is David, Eric, and Michael Cristoforo. Tuesday night, your intro to crypto. We thank you so much for joining us today. It's been phenomenal. It's exciting. It's a future to be excited about. And be ahead, not behind is the biggest, most important thing. All right. We're going to give out a free tumbler as we do every show. A free tumbler giveaway for you. If you want a free tumbler, please let us know. Go on our social media platforms. Let us know you want a tumbler. We'll add your name to the wheel. Please get us your name, your phone number, email so we can contact you. And we'll get you on the spinning wheel. And let's see who's going to be the next winner of a tumbler.
Maybe instead of a tumbler, you should be giving out 1 token of XRP.
We can't do that.
No
We
way.
can't do that.
I'm not gonna get rid of one of those.
It's great.
Okay, give 1 token of Doge.
Hey, it'd be like the guy that bought a pizza with whatever it was.
Oh, yeah, I know.
How many Bitcoin?
You paid the delivery guy with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Had 9 Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's crazy guy.
Who's our lucky winner?
PR74YS off Instagram.
PR47YS on Instagram. Congratulations. You just won a free tumbler. Please get in touch with us because we don't have your contact right now. We would love to get you the free tumbler. And everybody, thank you again for being part of this show. Your intro to crypto. Eric Vasquez, Michael Cristoforo, and Dave Lamel. And we will see you next week. We have Jennifer Crowley from Ask Insurance, a great girl. Every week we try to get great information, great topics. This is obviously a real estate podcast. We do real estate, Eric and I. Mike does mortgages. We do real estate for a living. And we would love to work for you and your families if you know somebody looking to buy or sell. Thank you so much for the opportunity. We hope you've been a part of your lives in a positive way.